Alrighty, guys. Let's get focused. All right, gentlemen. All right, so last week we started writing equations of lines. Okay, is everybody comfortable with the y equals mx plus b?
Yeah.
Right, so again, to be able to write the equation of line using that formula, because it is a formula, okay, you can picture it or think about it as a formula when you're solving for m and b, because we know that using that we need the slope and the y-intercept to write the equation. So the next thing I'm going to show you is slope point form. Okay, so this right here is, this little guy right here, is what we call slope point form. Does it look familiar, guys?
Yeah.
Guess what that is?
The slope formula.
Yeah. Do you guys all see that that's just the slope formula? Right? All they did with the slope formula, okay, is rearranged it. Okay, because you agree that normally it's the difference over the y's over the difference of the x's equals
The slope.
m, which is the slope. So all they did was take the difference of the x's that were on the bottom and multiply it across. So just realize that this formula that I'm saying is a new formula. Is it a new formula? No, it's just the slope formula rearranged, okay, for the difference of the y's. So we can actually use this formula as well to write an equation of a line, okay, because you guys agree that y2, y1, and x2 and x1 are just representing ordered pairs? Okay, so we can use this also. So I'm going to show you how we can use this to write an equation of a line as well. Okay, with these two techniques, guys, I am, unlike graphing, because remember with graphing, guys, did I show you two different ways to graph a line? So those two ways I will specifically say graph using y equals mx plus b, okay, or I'll ask you to graph using what? What's the second way I showed you guys? Using x and y-intercept, right? So unlike here, I'm not going to tell you how to write the equation. So you can be comfortable with whichever method you want. And you guys will see that sometimes, right, depending on the information that you're given, sometimes you might want to use the slope formula to write it, and sometimes you might want to use y equals mx plus b to write it. But I won't specify how to write the equation of the line. You can use whichever technique that you like, okay? All right. So here it says determine the equation of each line in the y equals mx plus b form. So regardless of which method you guys use, are we still going to end up with the same answer? Yeah, so in the end, we're still going to end up with an equation of a line in the y equals mx plus b form, right? So when we're finished, same answer regardless of which method you use. So here, if I say the slope is 3 and the line passes through the point -5, 5, how we can do this using this formula instead of the other one is just substitute everything in. Because where does the 3 get substituted in for? M. Now here we have 1 point. Do you guys agree? So that 1 point is made up of a x and a y. Sorry. So you guys get to pick, okay, where you want to put that point. So do you want to put it into y2 or y1, your y? So this little y right here, where do you want to put it? Do you guys all want to put it into y2? Okay.
Can we put it into y?
Pardon me?
Does it matter?
Doesn't matter, okay. So you guys want to put it into for y2. If somebody wants to put it into y1 right now, go ahead. We're going to get the same answer. Okay. So you guys chose this to be y2. So therefore, if that is y2, then -5 has to be x2. That's the only thing that matters, is you have to be consistent. Okay. So if you choose that one, so then, and again, if you chose to put it into the y1 and x1 position, same answer, doesn't matter as long as you're consistent. So away we go. So then we're going to get 5 minus, can I get rid of the y1 now? Can I just write a y? Yes. So minus y equals, what gets substituted in for m? 3. And then you're left with minus 5 minus what? X. Okay. And guess what we're going to do with that now? You're going to expand and simplify and rearrange it back for y equals. Now, just before I start doing that, guys, okay, would it have been nicer to substitute the 5 and negative 5 into the other variables? But it just would have helped a little bit with organizing it. Yeah, we're going to get the same answer. But I didn't want to force you guys in a situation or force you one way or another just to show you. But if I'm going to use slope point form, I put it into the ones. Just because then I don't have to deal with the negative. Okay? But again, we'd get the same answer. So away we go. And then see how the y term by itself is now a negative y? So are we going to have to deal with that? If we would have substituted the number in for the second y, would we not have to deal with it? Yeah, is all. So we just, by you asking me to put it into y2 and x2, just created a little bit more work. But it's not complicated work. So away we go. So we have 5 minus y equals 3 times negative 5, negative 15, and then 3 times negative x is a negative 3x. So negative 15 minus 3x. Now we do need y by itself, but the coefficient on the y needs to be a positive one. Yes? So I'm going to bring the y to the positive side and then everything else to the left-hand side. So I'm going to move the 15. And I'm going to move the 3x minus 3x. And then I'm going to move the y. All right, so remember guys, I'm showing all that work so you can see all the movement. And again, if you move an entire term, does the sign need to change? And again, did I have to move it like I did? Could have I left the y where it was and then just divided it by -1 later? Yes, you could have. Okay, so again, I'm doing lots of movement, but yes, you totally could have left the y, but then you would have just had a division of -1 when you're finished. All right, so here we go. So on this side we have a 3x, and then 5 plus 15, which is a plus 20, minus y plus y, that's now gone on the left-hand side, and then on the right-hand side, the minus 15 plus 15 is gone, the minus 3x plus 3x is gone, but I still have a plus y. So are we finished? Yes. So hence why this one's called slope point, right? This one's nice. It's kind of nice to use when you have the slope and a point because you can just put the values in and what you have left is rearranging for y equals. So there's no solving per se, because before when we did this on Friday, we had school Friday, yes? No, Thursday? Whichever day we had, right? When we had this piece of information, okay? So this question last class, you would have had to put x and y in for x and y equals mx plus b, right? 3 in for the slope, and you would have solved for b. Here, we're just solving for y equals. So another, like I said, way that we can write an equation given our slope and a point. So hence slope point form. So if you have the slope and you have a point, this formula works kind of nice. Yep.
Do you require us to do this specifically?
Did I answer that already?
Yes.
What did I say? Just to make sure everybody's clear. Am I going to force you one way or the other when you're writing an equation? No. Okay. I just want in the end for you guys to tell me that. What's the equation? Y equals 3x plus 20. I will not force you one way or another on what formula to use. Okay? Because you're either using y equals mx plus b to get all your information, or you're using slope point form, which is really your slope formula. Okay? So again, not forcing one way or other. I'm just giving you guys more tools, okay, in your toolbox so you have multiple ways that you can do the same thing. And both are, like I said, both are good techniques. So again, I don't care. All right, so here the line passes through the point. So here you're given 2 points. So this question here, guys, you have to start this question the same, whether you're using slope point form or if you're using y equals mx plus b. Because what are we missing right off the bat that we need? The slope. Okay, so here you have to calculate slope first, regardless of which method you're using. Okay, so that one we have no choice. We grab our slope formula, not rearranged, right? Because to me, why expand it like that when I just need my rise over run numbers? So we're going to take the difference of the y's over difference of the x's. So I'm going to use the 5 as my y2. So I'm going to go 5 minus 4, because the y's, right? So my y's are always my second terms, okay, or my second numbers. So if I choose to go 5 minus 4 on top, what number has to go first on the bottom? Right, the minus 7. So minus 7 minus a minus 5. Please, 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 I cannot stress enough, okay, how many times I have students go minus 7 minus 5. Do you see a problem with that? Please make sure, guys, your formula is there, okay? So it's the difference of the x's. So whatever those x's is, if there's already a negative on the x term, it has to be minus minus, okay, which will change to a plus, okay? And if you don't like integers, will your calculator deal with them? Yes, I'm hoping all of you like integers, but again, your calculator will deal with this if you don't want to. Okay, so then I'm going to get what on top? A 1. And then on the bottom, I'm going to get a negative 2. So I'm going to be left with a negative half. And remember, does the negative matter where you put it? No, it's just a negative half. So if you want to leave it on the outside, or if you want to leave it on top, or on the bottom, it's just a negative half. So again, regardless, you need to, when you're writing equations, start with the slope. Deal with the slope first. You need that piece of information. So then now, guess what? Well, if we're using the method today, are we going to do exactly what we just did in the last question? Yes. So now you're going to grab this, and we're using this, okay, today. So, do we have options for our point? Yeah, so you pick which point you want to use as your x and y. So do you want to use the first point or the second point? Because they're very similar in sense of, do they both have negative in it? Yeah, because if you look at a point, you pick the point where you feel is the nicer point, right? When I say nicer, if they were both positive, to me that's a nicer point to deal with. Regardless, you pick, you're going to get the same answer. So do you want to pick the minus 5, 4 or the minus 7, 5? Minus 7, 5, I heard. Okay, so let's pick this point. All right, so I'm going to now substitute all my values in. So just wait, I'm just going to rewrite it so you guys can see again. Not that you need to see again because it's literally right there. So what am I putting in for m? Negative 1/2. Are you guys okay now with me putting the point in the second one? So I'm going to go x minus a minus 7 equals y minus 5. Again, I like putting it in for my second variable. You would get the same answer if you didn't. If you put it like we did this one. Is that making sense now, guys, what I'm talking about? See how this one we put it in for the first x and y? Right? What's wrong? Okay. Right, so this one's not quite as nice. We're going to deal with some decimal answers, but no biggie. So we're going to have y minus 5, so deal with the brackets first, equals negative 1/2 x. And then 2 negatives inside the brackets change to a positive. So positive 7 times negative 1/2 is a negative what? You can do it as a decimal if you prefer. Negative 3.5. And again, if you don't like this, should that be changing to a plus? You guys all agree that that's a big plus 7, not a minus, because two negatives make a positive. So, do I have only one step left to do now? Yeah, so I have one step left to do. I have to add the 5. So then y equals negative 1 over 2x plus 1.5, or y equals negative 1/2 x plus 3 over 2. Are we good with both of those? Talk to me, guys. Are we good? Yep. Yep. Oh, say that again. I didn't change it to a positive. What do you mean? I just went minus 3.5 plus 1.5, gave me a positive 1.5. Does that make sense? Yeah, so then all I did was I changed my decimal to a fraction. So here, guys, but do you have to change this to a plus 7 though? Does that have to be changed to a plus 7? Yes, because did I have two negatives side by side? So minus and a minus gave me the plus 7, but then a minus half times positive 7 gave me a negative 3.5. I brought my 5 over, minus 3.5, plus 5 gave me 1.5. And then I just changed it to a fraction. Do I have to change it to a fraction? No. Once I start doing general form, yes. Okay, but right now, as you guys know, if it's equivalent, you can leave your slope as a decimal if it's terminating, right, or a fraction if I want you to leave it in y equals mx plus b form. Okay, because there will be another form you're going to be asked to leave your final answer in. But this form you have to get to first, regardless of what I ask you. Okay, so your final answer, or if I ask you to write equations of lines, your goal is to get it in y equals mx plus b form. Okay, and then if I ask you to do general form, that will be coming up. Yep.
So when I multiply, I can't just make it like negative 2 because
It's the same thing.
so I could leave it as that.
Negative x over 2 is the same thing as negative 1 over 2x. It's the same thing. So then, yes, your answer would be the same. So guys, definitely keep asking those questions because you guys have to understand equivalent forms, okay? So what Sean just asked is, are those two things the same thing? Yes. Do I care which way you write it? No, they're the same, okay? Don't care. All right, so then this last little guy here, so you guys, going to give you a 30-second head start. So do this question using the method today, not the one on Friday, because we should be comfortable with y equals mx plus b. So go ahead, do this one exactly like we just did the last one. See if you can get through it without watching me. So I'm going to do it as well, but I'm going to shut this off so you can cheat. So go ahead, calculate everything.
I'm sorry, dude. Sorry. Bro.
So as long as the y is by itself, you don't need to do it. Because it's weird because usually
Bro, am I joking? That one cooked until like 4 in the morning. The one night I did the other thing.
Okay, now you're just. Yeah. I'm down bad, you know.
Bro, I was what? Bro said from one time to another. That is actually wild. That is the most wild thing I've heard.
Sorry.
What are we doing tonight, man?
You can help. Don't do it.
points. Points. Let me see.
Okay, right?
Yeah, I'm not realizing I actually could have done that one.
Look at that again.
That's it.
So even though you might be ahead, you need to still be following to make sure you did what you thought you did properly.
Okay, Bro, are you joking? Okay, I see it.
So guys, for C, what are you getting for your slope? -2. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, I saw my. Yeah, I keep on just
So when you feel you're finished, go ahead to your assignment booklet. And please, guys, I know that in the end you can write the equations whichever way you prefer, but do you think it's still important to practice both to see which one you prefer? Because technically, do you think you could maybe use one in one question and the other in a different one? Technically, you could flip them back and forth depending on the question. Okay, so it is important to practice both, but I won't force you one way or the other on your summative assessments. It'll be up to you. So what'd you guys get for a y-intercept once you did everything? Anybody? Thank you. You should be getting a 0. So check your work.
So it's basically just this. Yeah. About y equals b sub, so there's supposed to be an answer.